Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. So there is a lot to go over in Act 5, Scene 3. We've got a whole bunch of deaths, and we've got the resolution to this play, the resolution to this the two families' conflict. So here we go. Act 5, Scene 3 actually starts off with Paris. Remember, Paris took Juliet's death really, really hard. So he is going to her grave with his page, so his little servant boy, to scatter flowers and water them with his tears. So he's going to just lay on Juliet's grave and weep, and then all of a sudden his page, his servant, whistles and warns Paris that someone is approaching. So Paris hides, and Romeo and Balthazar show up. So Romeo's got a pickaxe. He's going to break into this tomb so he can lay in Juliet's tomb and kill himself. He threatens Balthazar. He gives him a letter, and he commands Balthazar, his servant and his friend, to stay away. And Balthazar promises, and Romeo's like, yes, this is the way to show me that you're actually my friend. But Balthazar decides to hide nearby. So we've got Paris hiding, we've got Balthazar hiding. So Romeo, he's speaking to the tomb, and he's like, you horrible mouth of death, you've eaten the dearest creature on earth, now I'm going to open your rotten jaws and make you eat another body. Meaning he is going to go be another body in this tomb. So Paris recognizes that it's Romeo, and he thinks he's there to mess with the dead bodies, to defile them. So Paris basically is like, hey, leave them alone, I'm gonna fight you. And Romeo's like, don't stay here, go away, live now and say a madman told you to run away. Paris is like, I'm not gonna run away. And so they fight, and oh no, Paris, he falls. Oh, I've been killed. If you are merciful, open the tomb and lay me next to Juliet. So Paris's last wish is to be laid next to Juliet. So Romeo's like, all right, I'll do it. So he opens the tomb, and he sees Juliet, and he drags Paris inside. Sorry guys, internet's going slow. And he kind of has this really long soliloquy about how, it's a lightness before death, men are happy right before, and so he sees Tybalt, but right before he takes this poison, he looks at Juliet, and he says, right, where is it? Dear Juliet, why are you still so beautiful? Should I believe that death is in love with you? And so he goes and he remarks right before he takes poison, oh my goodness, she's beautiful, she still looks alive. And then he takes this poison, come bitter poison, unsavory guide, you desperate pilot, let's crash this sea-weary ship into the rocks. So let's commit suicide. And then he's like, oh, that apothecary was honest, that pharmacist was honest, his drugs work quickly, so I die with a kiss. And he kisses Juliet and dies. Then, poor Friar Lawrence stumbles into the tomb. So he's stumbling towards the tomb, and Balthazar stops him and is like, oh, I see you, I know where you are. And Friar Lawrence is like, okay, well, where's Romeo? Where's your master? And Balthazar's like, he's in the tomb already. So Friar Lawrence rushes in, and he's suddenly very afraid that something awful has happened. And Friar Lawrence stumbles in, notices Romeo, he notices Paris, he notices they're both dead, and then Juliet starts to wake up. So she wakes up, and she's like, oh, it's the friar. Where's my husband? And so she hasn't even noticed that Romeo's lying on the ground next to her. So Friar Lawrence hears a noise, and he's like, I hear some noise come out of the tomb. A greater power than we can fight. So he's basically saying fate has ruined our plan, and that's kind of true. So he says, come away. Your husband lies dead here in Paris. Too, come, I'll place you among the sisterhood of holy nuns. So he's like, look, I hear something outside. We need to run away. Your husband's dead. You can be a nun. Which, if you know anything about Juliet so far, you know that is not going to fly. So Friar Lawrence, remember, he hears this noise. And Juliet says, go get out of here. I'm not going anywhere. And Friar Lawrence leaves her, guys. Friar Lawrence, the adult in the situation, leaves this 13-year-old girl with 2 corpses. Really 3, because Tybalt's in there too. And I guess he thinks that there's going to be some miracle happy ending, but there isn't. So she notices that Romeo's got the poison. She tries to drink some, but there's none left. So she picks up his... Or first she tries to kill herself. Oh, there's no poison. Well, I'll kiss you and get the poison from your lips. Nothing happens. She notices his lips are warm. Guys, both of these, Romeo and Juliet, were so close to being able to be together. But it just didn't work out. So anyways, Juliet hears the noise outside that Friar Lawrence heard, and she picks up Romeo's knife, and she says, yea, noise, then I'll be brief. O happy dagger, this is thy sheath. There rust, and let me die. And she stabs herself with Romeo's dagger and dies. So the page, so this is Paris's servant, is bringing the watchman, who's like the police officer, to the tomb. So the police officer shows up, and he's like, oh, there's blood on the ground, because, you know, he's really observant. And then he sees all these corpses, and he's like, oh my goodness, the count is dead, Juliet is bleeding, her body's warm, and she seems to be dead only a short time. Remember, she should have been dead for over 24 hours, closer to 48. So go tell the prince, run to the Capulets, wake up the Montagues, because there's also Romeo, and have some others search. So the policemen start searching the ground, and lo and behold, who do they find? Balthazar, so this is Romeo's man, and also Friar Lawrence, because Friar Lawrence, being a priest, probably is not the fastest runner, so he gets caught. So the prince shows up, and he's like, alright, why'd you wake me up early? Capulets are like, why are you crying so loud? Lady Capulet is like, some people are screaming Romeo, some people are crying Juliet, some are crying Paris, and they're all running towards our tomb. Like, everybody's like, what the heck is going on? So the prince is trying to investigate and, like, figure out how this came to be. And Capulet notices that his daughter is bleeding, even though she's been dead for 2 days. Dead. Not really dead, but dead. Montague shows up, and then finally they start to get the truth. So here we go. Prince is like, okay, I'll be the leader of the pain and maybe lead you as far as death. In the meantime, hold on and be patient. Bring forth the men under suspicion. So this is when Friar Lawrence speaks up and is like, I'm the greatest, but I was able to do the least. And he tells the story of Romeo and Juliet. Now, at first, nobody really believes him. And he also says, so Friar Lawrence, at the end of his speech, I want to point out, if any part of this tragedy is my fault, let my own old life be sacrificed and let me suffer the most severe punishment. Let's talk about fault for a second. A lot of things seem to be fate's fault, but some of this stuff is definitely the nurse and Friar Lawrence's, because those are the 2 people that enable Romeo and Juliet to get married. So keep that in mind with who's at fault. But anyways, so the prince is like, you know what, you've always been a good guy. What does Romeo have to say about this? So Balthazar gives Montague, so Romeo's dad, the letter, and gives Prince the letter, and the letter basically confirms everything that Friar Lawrence said. And then here we go. This letter confirms the friar's account, describes the course of their love, and mentions the news of her death. Here he writes that he bought poison from a poor apothecary. He brought that poison with him to the vault to die and lie with Juliet. Where are these enemies? Capulet, Montague, do you see what great evil results from your hate? Heaven has figured out how to kill your joys with love. Because I looked the other way when your feud flared up. I've lost several members of my family as well. Everyone is punished. So again, we've got kind of bringing us back to that prologue at the very beginning where it focused more on the hatred and not this like tragic ending, but the things that lead up to this tragic ending. It's this hatred that causes this stuff. That's what Shakespeare wants us to focus on. And that's what it focuses on at the end, and then it kind of resolves. So Capulet and Montague both are going to raise statues in the honors of each other's children. And Capulet even says they were poor sacrifices of our rivalry. So basically they were just poor victims. So the prince is like, all right, we'll settle a dark peace this morning. The sun is too sad to show itself. Let's go talk about these sad things some more. Some will be pardoned, some will be punished. There was never a story more full of woe than this of Juliet and her Romeo. And that is the end of the play. So that is Act 5, Scene 3 for you guys. The rest of your assignment today is for you to complete the Act 4 and 5 quiz. You can use anything you would like. You can Google answers. You can use the book here. You can do just about anything. You just get one shot at the quiz. So please do the best that you possibly can. Alrighty, guys. See you tomorrow.